Let me start with this uh, saying schooling does not assure employment, but skill does. So I strongly believe in this. Reason is because most of us have gone through schooling and we have seen how our schooling was. We studied something and we are working something else. And similarly, some of us might have learned about data and they never able to implement or never got an opportunity to implement data. Uh, but this is a time where most of us are having a kind of fear that we might lose our jobs. So being a technical writer, I strongly recommend that add these skills to your profile if you don't have. If you have, try to enhance. The reason why I'm saying is because most of the big tech companies across the world use data as writing architecture, and they continue to use it, and they keep experimenting, and they're seeing the value of implementing data in their documentation. And the third thing is writers who has this data skills are paid a bit more than writers without the skills. So with these 3 points, I'm sure we all can actually try to learn this data or enhance the skills if you already have. So what is data? So I'm not going to talk about the definition of it and all those things we all know. You can Google it. But the important thing I'm going to talk here is whether it's a tool or architecture. The reason why I'm putting this question is in my previous company, I worked for almost 7 years in that company and I interviewed close to 100 plus people. And most of the people's put their in their resume put data under tools. So when I actually spoke to them, they said, okay, I work on data, I work in Oxygen, I work in XMetal. Without knowing the concepts of data, they're just using a tool which supports data and they're thinking that itself is data. No, data is a very good, powerful writing architecture. It has a lot of good features which we can use and deliver our deliverables. So that's a basic point which I want to tell. And for somebody who doesn't know what is data, it is basically XML-based, open source, topic-based authoring toolkit. So the word toolkit doesn't mean it's a tool. A toolkit, when I'm saying toolkit, it includes a lot of plugins. But data itself is just a specifications. It just gives us specifications how to write. But it is the toolkit is combined with a lot of plugins and other supporting tools to publish your deliverables.
Sorry, Prasad. Prasad, you also and others also who have enabled video, can you please disable it? It's causing some screen issue with others.
Okay. I think I disabled it.
Yeah, Priyanka, I can see Priyanka here. So everybody, I can't disable the videos. That's why I'm requesting.
Yeah, mine is disabled. I just want to
You go ahead, Priyanka and Gautam.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, and Data Toolkit is free. You can actually download from the internet and try it out. There are a lot of free tools which are available to test data. You don't need to really buy a tool like Oxygen XMetal, but you can use some freeware for your learning purpose, or you can actually go for a trial version and start learning. So the key point here in this slide is I want to emphasize is it is a powerful writing architecture and it is not a tool. Okay, so some terminology. I think some of us here already knew about all these things. So, in the interest of audience who don't know much about data or who wants to learn, I just want to quickly go over the terminology that we use in data. So, in data, basically, it is the information is documented in 3 different topic types: concept, task, reference. So, when you want to document some information, a writer thinks in one perspective, that is, okay, what is a task? So first thing is, what is the task that I want to do? And then when you get to the task, you need to think about what is the concept around the task, and you put that information in your concept topics, and you put the procedures, the steps basically inside your task topics. And reference topic is something that you want to quickly refer, like for example, you have commands and their descriptions, or You have list of components, have their descriptions, and these are few examples of reference. So the most important point in while you're documenting data is one, you should write topics thinking that the topic will be reused. Two, the topic should be short enough to be independent on its own, or it should answer a single question, but at the same time should be long enough to be complete. So that way you are able to reuse your content. And the third point is there is no hierarchy when you're writing in data topics. So unlike an unstructured documentation, in structured documentation, such as like data kind of structured documentation, you don't really build your hierarchy, that is your TOC kind of thing, when you're actually writing a topic. You focus on a piece of information that you want to document and document it. I'll talk about how you build that TOC or a hierarchy for topics a little later. And then the contents, what exactly a data topic consists is elements. So elements exactly define defines the content, right? For example, if you, I'm taking an example of a data element. I think most of us knew or used this element like note. Note is a simple element in data, and it defines, that element defines that when you put some content inside that element, it says it's a note, right? So that's why I'm saying elements define the content. And then each element has its own attributes. So attributes are nothing but metadata, right? So you have element and there is an attribute to it. There are a lot of attributes for each of elements. So when you take an attribute, the attribute is metadata about that particular element. Again, I'll take the same example, note. So the note element has an attribute called type. And then the attribute has a value. The value defines what exactly the metadata is, right? For example, in this case, we have taken note as an element. Note is an element. Type is actually an attribute, and value could be a caution note, a simple tip, or a warning note, or it could be anything else that you want to define. So that is what in brief about concept, task, reference, elements, attributes, and values. Now the question is, now I have concept, task, reference, topic types. How do I build my deliverable? How do I build my document, right? So that's where the maps come in. A map in data is just a holder which holds a list of topics, a bunch of topics it holds. And this is where you can actually build your hierarchy for your topics. Like, for example, if you work in an MS Word or HTML, you have H1, H2, H3. Similarly, you can actually build your hierarchy using maps. And this we have two different kind of maps. A data map is a simple map which just holds a bunch of topics, and when you publish, it will give an output. But the data map doesn't look like a book. But if you want to have a book like a output, especially when you're publishing a PDF, you want to have the front matter or the TOC, then copyright information, chapter 1, chapter 2 in the back matter where you want to include your glossary index map. So this is very brief terminology. And then why data? So this is a very important question. Why do we need data exactly? So data is one of the writing architectures which exactly allows writer to focus and write clearly because of the information typing which we have, the concept, task, reference, which allows writer to think in a perspective, write in a perspective, and be consistent, right? Again, this at one layer, it is a kind of implementation of style. If somebody looks at your document, there might be a lot of inconsistency on style aspect or other style aspects, but when somebody looks at your topics at a very high level, just somebody's class going to the list of topics, they can say, okay, they look consistent. At least you have a clear concept topic types, your task topic type, the way you title, all these things will enforce in data writing environment. And the next thing is reuse. You can reuse content across. That means when you're writing topic, let it be a concept task or reference, you can reuse the topic across. That means across your documents, different deliverables, across your product line. Like you have different products of your company, same topic can be used for different product documentation. It can also be reused by your other team members and other deliverables, or it can be used by your technical marketing engineering teams when they're writing their own solution guides or white papers or any other documentation. And then your support team can use it for writing their KB articles. So this way you can build an environment where you can reuse the content. That's how it is very powerful. Again, when I'm saying reusing content, not just the topic level, you can also reuse content at a very granular level. It could be a paragraph inside, or it could be a bunch of steps. It could be terms inside your topic, the terms that you consistently use across your documents. You can actually reuse. Then the very powerful other feature of Data is conditionalization. So conditionalization also allows you to do to an extent of reuse, because you can conditionalize based on audience, product, platform, and other props. So same topic, you can put a content which belongs to two different products, but most of the content is same, but one bullet point or a paragraph in the topic belongs to another product. You can conditionalize that based on using data conditions. Basically, in data terminology, it is called profiling. So you can put a condition and still continue to use the same topic. And then you can actually produce a document for that particular two different products simultaneously. When it comes to audience, you can actually profile audience like novice user, expert users, or internal users, external users, and still continue to use the same topic. It is only the piece of information that belongs to a set of audience you put a condition and publish. That's where the something called data val comes into place, which allows you to manage your conditions. I will not go in deep over data val and all those things, but I'm just introducing another term that we use in data, that is called data val, which allows you to manage your conditions, like what to exclude and what to include. That's about conditionalization. And faster delivery, because your topics are independent information available inside a topic. It's like it's an independent component with a specific information, or it answers a specific question. That way, if somebody comes to you and asks, like for example, your product manager comes to you and says, okay, I have a big customer who wants to read through a documentation, but that customer doesn't want to read through all the 1,000 pages. He just wants to read through the features that they are going to implement. So that's where you can quickly pull all the topics that about that for features that customer is using, build, take a map, plug in all these topics into it, and just publish. So it is faster delivery. Or if some changes happen, like for example, the UI changes, term changes, or you want to do rebranding, like most of the companies do actually do rebranding with other companies to sell in a different geographical location. You can actually do rebranding very fast. That's what is the next bullet, build customized deliverables. Single source, I think most of us knew, and even in unstructured documentation also, a lot of tools support single sourcing, where you can actually deliver or produce or publish documents of different output. For example, using a single topics, same topics, you can actually publish a PDF, HTML, Markdown, then your Kindle versions, lot many, MS Word. So that's how you can actually do single sourcing using data. So these are the features why we need to go for data. Why? Basically, it's a set of features, and there are a lot many features which I have not listed here. Next is yeah. Now the question is, like, there might be audience in this session, or you might have experience in your previous company, or in your current company that you think you know data you have used in a previous company, and you want to implement it, but you don't know how to go forward. So a few guidelines to think whether you really need data or not, because not every company, not every product uh, really wants to move to data. There are a set of things you need to check before you actually decide to go for data or not. So the primary thing is you should know about the product. You should know about the vision of your company. That thing you will get from your product manager or CTO. I know it is a difficult thing if you're working for a big company to approach CTO, but definitely you can approach your product manager. Go to the product manager, tell that person that okay, this is what I'm planning to do. I'm actually planning to experiment this writing architecture called data, and I need some information for you so that I can decide whether we really need this kind of architecture for our product or for our company. So you need to ask questions like, okay, uh, uh, in the near future, are we going to add more products? Are we going to add more features? How complex they are? Who are our audience? Are they going to what is the mindset of the people when they're using our product, and how do they want to use our documentation, and what challenges they face with our existing documentation, and then you need to ask questions like, do we really need to maintain multiple versions of our software? Like most companies, enterprise companies, they have to maintain at least a minimum of three versions in the market, because most of the enterprise companies don't want to upgrade to the latest version. So again, as a writing team, you need to support them. So that's a good scenario where you might want to implement data. And then some companies like provide content for different audiences, so that's where you need to understand the audiences. Is it the content only for end users, or we want to give content for our partners or engineers, the field engineers who go, or you want to rebrand this product with some other company and sell it in a different geographical location. So you need to understand these. And uh, like managing content sometimes takes a lot of time, right? Suddenly, I've experienced this in my previous company that when I implemented data, I spoke to our CTO and I asked him, like, what is the vision for this company? What do you want to do? He said like, okay, I don't have anything very specific, but one thing is sure, that we will get acquired by somebody, or we will go big. And these are the features that we are going to add. These are our customers. And like even if you are actually want to move to a different tool, or if you don't have a support of any IT guys, you should be able to manage your content. And then the scenario was like, I need to decide whether I should go for data or I should go for a frame maker kind of a thing. But one thing, that company CTO confirmed that we are going to go big. So with that, I implemented data. So again, we thought of localization and translation. So that's again one more important point. If you want to, if your company wants to translate your content to a different language or localize that content, it's a very good implementation reason, because localization and translation takes a lot of time and involves a lot of money. So with data and data supported content management system, you can actually track every small piece of information, and you can just translate only that piece of information. Over a period of time, you will reduce the cost of localization and translation. And we already discussed about delivering multiple outputs. So does your company really needs to have multiple outputs? You need to answer that question. If you get a feedback from different uh, uh, people inside your company, like, okay, I see inconsistency in document. Okay, that's where you need to think about it, because when you have inconsistency in your documentation, customers could really get confused, because you use a feature name that is there in the UI, but your sales guys and marketing guys might be using some other term. Your support might be using a different term. So that if you to maintain consistency, data is one way you can actually think of and implement. And if you're doing a lot of copy paste, right? Because again, that's a reuse, but you're doing a reuse in a wrong way. And we have seen what happens when you do copy-based content. So moving forward,
Prasad, we have 5 minutes more.
okay, okay. So how difficult is implementing data? Basically, the previous slide is that I talked about requirement analysis. Uh, Mostly, and if you're through that, then you should get a management blessings, because that is most important thing to implement data. And you should have somebody who can actually get good information architecture for your data. Have these 3 points listed here, then it will be a disaster. And there are a lot of also. So considering I just have 5 minutes, I'm going to next slide. So what's the future of data? So this is a very interesting thing with lightweight data. So data 2.0 is coming up. We don't know when. Probably my research, it might come by end of this year.
Not now. Later. Keep it. Keep it. No,
So
not no,
then I
not now.
make it simple. And parallelly, we have
Prasad, 1 second. I have to mute all, and then please unmute yourself. There is some noise coming.
yeah.
Yeah, please unmute yourself, Prasad.
Can you see my screen, Puneet?
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Screen is fine.
So I think most of us already heard about lightweight data. It is available as a trial basis. So the good thing about this lightweight data is it has 3 different flavors: your XML-based data, HTML-based data, and Markdown-based data. So when you compare the regular data that we use for technical documentation has like close to 189 elements, and when lightweight data has 48 elements and just one topic type. So with this, at least I'm very confident that going forward, data can be implemented across your company, and you can actually work with your content contributors, let the engineers work on Markdown based data, and your other technical marketing engineers or trainers or other guys can let them work on H data. You take that content and convert it into XML based data and start reusing. So that way you can actually deliver fast. So this way we can build a environment where everyone starts using this writing architecture and deliver content consistently and faster. So that's all I'm actually thinking, that going forward, once we have the full-fledged lightweight data available, most of the companies who at least using currently will continue to use it and adapt lightweight data. Also, lightweight data is a good start if you are new to data, because it has less number of elements, and then you can actually merge these topics with your XML-based data. So with that, we covered like basics of data and why data, and what are the challenges that we face in while implementing data, and a future of data, basically knowing a bit about lightweight data. So the takeaway is learn data if you want to write any content. So that way mm, we can be secure and be prepared. Thank you. If you have any questions, Puneet can.
Yeah, Prasad, I'll come to the questions. We have 2 questions. We have 2 minutes. Would you mind just going through the demo you once mentioned? If you
Yeah, sure. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen presentation still.
Okay, I need to share my Oxygen screen. Give me a minute.
By the time you connect side by side, if you want to answer, so there is one question about, are there any good free editors?
Free editors. One I was actually experimenting called Codex. So, but again, it has its own constraints. It will not allow you to publish. Can you see my Oxygen screen?
Yeah, Prasad, it's coming up.
Yeah, so I was talking about topics. So let me quickly open a task topic. So this is a task topic, which again, this content is not my content. This is their inbuilt in Data OT. I'm just using this content for demo purpose. And let me show how the element looks like. Okay, so I was talking about elements. So like steps is an element. Within that steps, you have step, and then you have command. So these are all elements. So step is an element. Inside that you have one more element, and this command can have attributes here, like the different attributes. So like all these are attributes, and you can define a value here. So for example, product, I can put a condition here, like this is a value for that particular product. So I'm conditionalizing this. Then this is a map, basically the one which I highlighted, and you are building hierarchy like this. Because each topic is independent topic, I'm just adding the topics here to this map and building a hierarchy. And let me show you a concept topic. So this is a very simple concept topic. It starts with concept element. As I told you in the first few slides, that the contents of a data topic is all elements. So everything starts with an element, and this one starts with the concept. And the task will start with a task, and it will have its own elements which work within that particular parent element. And let me quickly publish and show you how you can actually produce multiple outputs. So like in this case, I'm using the default one, PDF, HTML5 and XHTML, and just applying. So it is publishing, you can see here. So this is where most of the writers face challenges when they're publishing, because okay, output has come.
What happened?
I think
Screen sharing stopped.
Yeah. 1 second. Okay. Can you see now?
It's coming up.
Okay. So this is the output. This is basically your HTML output, and I think PDF. Still. Okay, I think there's something wrong with this, so I'm not. It published, but I think it is somewhere inside the folders. It is just not showing up. But basically, what I did is, yeah, it is here. Can you see the PDF output?
Yes.
So this is a PDF output, and this is a HTML output that we have published at one click. So